Hey, it's Tiki Chan VA, and hi. It's been a while, and I'm really sorry about that. And to make it up to you, I will be reading a story, a story by me. I hope you guys enjoy it. I returned to this horrible place once again, and the metallic scent of blood lingered around me. I stood up and wandered back to the place I dreaded returning to. The revolving mirror. It still stood high and mighty as I remembered. Not a scratch can be seen on the mirror surface. I could see how clear my reflection was. Then it started to turn slowly. My expression changed, and the reflection in the mirror was grinning widely. I saw myself, but I knew the person reflecting in the mirror was not me. It was someone else. I felt its eyes watching my every move, like a prey being hunted by her predator. The mirror turned again, creating a deafening silence. And again, I saw it in the mirror. It stopped grinning. It continued to stare at me dead in the eye. I felt my skin crawl as it continued to pierce me with its intense gaze. And once again, the mirror turned. What I saw in the mirror made my heart drop. I felt chills down my spine. It's as if the reflection was moving towards me. Its eyes never left me. And it smiled. It smiled wickedly. Suddenly, an ear-piercing scream could be heard. I jolted awake. Cold sweat coursed through my body. I could hear my mother's loud screams, asking me to come down and eat breakfast. I realized that I had been repeating that same nightmare over and over. I have been pondering on what it means. My sanity is close to its breaking point. I could not comprehend why that dream was haunting me. It was driving me insane. I can't take it anymore. I could still faintly hear the berating of my mother, yelling at me to get out of bed and eat breakfast. With a heavy sigh, I rose from my bed, made sure I looked a bit presentable, and walked towards the door. I looked at my mother, who shook her head in disappointment and told me to eat. When I saw the frown on her face, I felt my heart clench. These days, I am sure I have been disappointing her more than usual, and it breaks my heart. I'm sorry, Mom. I sat down and started to eat. The warmth of the grits melted in my mouth. As expected, it tasted terrific. My mother began to rant how terrible I looked, how I looked like a mess. I could hear the pain in her voice. It was heavily draining. I looked up at her with an empty look and said nothing and continued to eat. As I finished eating, my mother told me one last time to make sure I actually make some friends. I nodded and got up, took my bag, kissed my mother goodbye, took my phone out and plugged in my headphones and played some music as I walked out the door. I could hear a mellow voice saying hello. I turned my head and saw the sweet old lady waving at me. I smiled at her and waved my hand indicating that I heard and saw her. I continued to walk towards the bus stop, thinking about the dream that continued to haunt me. A girl who looked my age approached me and tapped my shoulder. She started to talk, but I couldn't hear her. So I took off my headphones and asked what she wanted. The light on her face dimmed and told me that she was my friend. But I don't have any friends. I didn't know how to make friends. Who is this girl? She looked at me and pouted. She started to rant about how I could just be messing with her, but looking at my face, looking at my reaction, she knew. She knew I wasn't joking. She looked at me with fear and confusion. She told me that I was just crazy. I was just dumb. I was just acting crazy. And simply ran off. Just who is she? I felt my heart pounding wildly, my head spinning, questioning myself what was happening, my anxiety rising. I felt my vision blur. I couldn't breathe. I felt my knees weakening. I could faintly hear voices of people shouting, calling out to me. And then everything went black. I felt a surge of adrenaline and jolted upwards. I'm back here once again, to this horrible, horrible place I dreaded returning to. This place, every time I faint or sleep, the gloomy and dreary atmosphere suffocates me. The revolving mirror stood menacingly in front of me, and once again I saw it on the surface of the mirror, the reflection grinning maliciously at me. I dared not to make eye contact with the creature, but I couldn't move. It's as if my whole body was rooted to the ground. I can still feel its watchful eyes observing me. The creature is calling out to me, asking me to come near. I didn't want to, but I had to. Gathering up all of my courage, I faced my soul-cold reflection and yelled at it, telling it why. Why do I always dream about it? Why am I in this place? And that it should just leave me alone. The creature tilted its head, smiled, and answered me with a grim voice. It told me that it was me. I felt my strong sensation in my stomach. The creature is still looking at me with its hollow, emotionless eyes. It suddenly moved and lunged itself towards me. I could see it clearly. It's as if the mirror surface was non-existent. The creature landed on top of me. It was so quick. I didn't see it come. Once again, I couldn't move. I was frozen into place. The only thing I could do was just stare back. I could feel its weight straddling on top of me, not moving a muscle as it continued to stare at me with a wicked grin. You don't get it, do you? I am you, silly girl. Suddenly, I saw two figures emerge from the mirror. The creature on top of me cackled and said, "All of us are you. There's nowhere for you to run, nowhere for you to escape, except us. We are one." I couldn't just accept it. No, I can't. It's just a dream. It's just a dream, Luna. It's just a dream, Luna. And they will all go away soon. They'll go away. They won't reach you in the real world, where I'll be safe, or I'll be safe and sound. I could hear all of them cackling, enjoying my pain. I felt my tears trickling down my face, screaming and pleading at them to let go of me. They continued cackling as if they never heard my cries of sorrow. I could faintly hear my mother's shaky voice, pleading for me to wake up. I jolted up in a panic, my heart pounding, my tears streaming down my face. I gave my mother a scared look, asking her what was wrong with me. With tears in her eyes, she told me that I suddenly fainted while waiting for the bus. I started to scream and sob, asking my mother why that happened to me, until my voice became raspy and hoarse. "Luna, my dearest," my mother tried to calm me, as my tears continued to flow down my face, staring at my beloved mother, maintaining eye contact, never once tried to break it. With a raspy voice, I asked her once again, "Mother, what's wrong with me?" "My darling," she sobbed, "I think it's time for me to tell you about your condition." "My condition?" I stammered. My mother, still looking at me, nodded sadly. "I didn't think it would affect you this bad, my dear. I, I, I'm such a horrible mother." I nodded at her, indicating to continue what she was saying. "My baby, I'm so sorry. Your condition, it started when you were only 3 years old. You are quite special, my sweet. You see, the doctors, they diagnosed you with bipolar disorder and dissociate identity disorder." She sobbed as she tearfully continued. Your intersubjective love. You may have noticed that you've met a girl introducing herself as your friend, and in fact, she's your friend. Well, she is other Luna's friend, but that doesn't mean that she she doesn't know about your predicament, my dear. I felt my blood run cold, looking at my mother, the person I trusted the most. In anger and confusion, I told her, "Mother, what are you saying? Am I still dreaming?" I pinched myself on my arm hard. I felt it. I felt the burning sensation in my arm, telling me that I'm not dreaming anymore. Is that the reason why I have been having those nightmares for years? The same nightmares you disregard, telling me that it'll all just go away? I wailed and howled at her. My mother couldn't look me in the eye, and she tearfully nodded. I felt my world crash. I had different personalities without my knowledge. I can't believe it. I'm crazy. No, I'm not crazy. No, no, no. I'm crazy. I'm mentally ill. I closed my hands, turning them into fists. I could feel my nails pierce my flesh. I could feel the sharp sting on my palm. Blood trickled down my fingers. I stared at my mother once more with a tear-stained face, asking and pleading, "Mom?" My voice cracked. Why am I like this? I don't like this. I hate this, Mom. My tears continued streaming down my face. Mommy? You won't leave me, right? I choked. Right, Mom? Mom? Mother? Mommy? No, you won't leave me, right? Right? Mom, look at me. Look at me and tell me you won't leave me, right? Mom! Mom! Listen to me. Look at me. Please. Tell me you're not leaving me, right? Mom? With a dreary look on her face, she shook her head. I'm sorry, honey. I can't do that. The sound of knocking outside my room was heard. Miss Hunt, it's time. A male's voice could be heard outside the door. All right, Dr. Morningstar. Thank you. Please give us a few more minutes. My daughter needs to process these informations I have given her. Just like you said, my mother answered. Mother? I called out to her. Who's that man behind the door? I know it's a man. Who is he, Mommy? Please tell him to go away. Tell him to go away, Mom. Mom, please, tell him to go away. I don't like him. I don't want him here. Please. My voice shook as I told her. Darling, the man outside is Dr. Morningstar. He's been keeping track of you and your personalities. It's time for your daily checkup. Mother stammered. I felt my heart drop. I know full well that this was no ordinary checkup. I can feel it. Something very wrong was about to happen, and I can't shake off the feeling of fear. Mom, who really is that man? I asked in a panic. The door flung open, revealing a man in his 50s wearing a white coat. Miss Hunt, it's time for us to escort her back, Dr. Morningstar said, looking at my mother. She softly nodded and moved away to create space for me and her. Mother? What's going on? Why is this happening? Mom? Where are you going? Mom? Come back! Mom! No, don't leave me! Come back! I suddenly felt a sharp, burning sensation on my arm. I turned to my side and saw Dr. Morningstar injecting something on my body. Mom? My head began to spin, my vision blurring, and then everything went black. I soon found myself waking up in front of the revolving mirror. The cause of all this havoc. Gathering up all of my strength, I got up off the ground and shouted at the mirror, pounding at it. Who are you? Why are you doing this to me? Leave me alone! Inside the mirror, 3 silhouettes can be seen. And one by one, the creatures in the mirror merges. With wide smiles, they said in unison, No can do. We are you, and you are us. They started to laugh so eerily. Their wide smiles and wide eyes, never leaving my sight. The sound of laughter echoed in my mind as I get up from the bed, looking around in confusion. Ah, I see that you're awake, Miss Hunt. From the look of your face, you must be wondering where we are. This is a psychiatric hospital. No need to fret. You are completely safe here. I turned to my side, seeing the man my mother referred as Dr. Morningstar. What am I doing here? I hissed at him. Now, mind your manners. Your mother simply told us to take you in for a checkup and see how your mental condition is. I have no such thing! I cut him off and screamed. Where is my mother? Where is she? I should not be here! Like a mad maniac, I lunged towards the so-called doctor and clawed his face. His screams echoed through the halls as he tried to get me off him. The blaring sounds of the alarms could be heard all over, but I didn't stop screeching and clawing the doctor's face. Several people dashed into the room. I was pried off him. I couldn't believe it. They were stronger than me. She's insane! Dr. Morningstar cried out. Bring her to solitary confinement, where she'll be watched 24/7. Don't let her leave your sight. And then I felt a hard blow in my head. And then every